uma linda canção de amor. A tua vida é uma linda canção de amor. Abre teus braços e canta a última esperança, a esperança divina de amar em paz. My mother got me an agent. I think I must have been 3 years old. My mother got me an agent. I think I must have been 3 years old. I want to show you something. Hope you can see this.
Oh, wow. Hey.
Publicity. Publicity. Huh? Isn't that ridiculous? Yeah, yeah. And all my statistics, right? I have no memory of that, of course. You know, I found this years later. But she was there all the time.
What was the first really major production that you did?
The first major production was Fly Blackbird, which was written by C. Bernard Jackson and Jim Hatch, both professors out of UCLA. And I was with some friends, and they said they were going to go audition for some play. And we were going to hang out. So they said, well, come with us first. So I said, okay. So I went, and I'm sitting in the audience while they auditioned. I got talked into auditioning myself. I got up on stage, and they showed me a few dance steps and sang a few lines, and I got the job.
Wow.
Fly Blackbird, yeah. With, let's see, who was in that? Jack Crowder, who later became Thalmus Rasulala.
Oh, wow.
And
Mickey,
right, exactly. And Mickey Grant, who wrote Don't Bother Me, I Can't Cope.
Wow.
And George Takei of Star Trek.
All icons in their own right.
and George and I were in the chorus.
Really?
Yes, we were in the chorus. But George had a part where he kind of talked a little bit about the concentration camp, you know, as a character, as he talked about as a child being in the concentration camps. But yeah, that was my first.
What was it like being an understudy?
Well, I was very thankful just to be on, you know, just to have gotten that at that time. I've been an understudy a couple of times since then. It can be a little unnerving sometimes because you never know when you're going to go on or not. But other than that, I enjoyed it because I really got to know the character, sitting in the audience every night, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I was an understudy later, and The Owl and the Pussycat. I understudied Carol Cole. We did that at the Cornet Theater in Hollywood.
Wow.
And she was great. And she knew I didn't want to go on necessarily really early, but she was the kind of person who was not starstruck, you know. In fact, she left the industry quite early.
Yes.
But I went on, yeah. She let me go on, and she never came back. And I did that opposite Bill Bixby.
Wow. And how long was that run? Do you remember?
It ran, I think, a couple of months, maybe 6 weeks. I mean, about 6 weeks. Yeah, I think she did maybe 3 weeks, and I did a couple, but it only ran on weekends.
Wow. You've worked with some icons that were just starting out in the industry, just like you were. I mean, actually, to work with Bill Bixby, my goodness.
Yeah, no, he was already Bill Bixby then.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Come to think of it, he wasn't just starting out.
No.
But when you were younger, did the world of the arts feel like it was a world that was open to you, or did you feel resistance to you as an African-American woman coming into the arts?
I must say I didn't. In those early days, I mean, I was pretty well protected from anything. My parents protected me. And I think by the time I started doing television, it was during the blaxploitation period.
Yeah.
So things had kind of opened up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
there were, and I was young enough so that I didn't get cast so much in the maid roles. It was only later that that happened.
Yeah. Right.
So I was somebody's girlfriend, or, you know, in high school, I was in high school. And I remember one role I did, Dr. Kildare. I was in a high school student who was being attacked and made fun of and ridiculed by the white students. So it was like a civil rights era
Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
If you don't mind me
episode.
asking, I'm sorry. If you don't mind me asking, what was the pay like back in those days for television?
Oh,
So
golly.
you would have been working like as a co-star at that time or
Uh,
guest
I,
star?
I was guesting. I was a
Yeah.
guest star in those. Yeah. Good question. I think for a weekly, I usually got a weekly, which I think was a little bit better pay than being on a daily
Yeah.
salary. Um, I think it was maybe like $500 a week.
Wow.
I mean, that's what hit. That's what I recall, which was great.
Yeah, at
You
that
know,
time. Yeah.
I mean, $500 a week.
Yeah. I mean,
But, I think it was somewhere in there. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, at that time, most people working a regular job, especially African American people, were making $65 a week. So
I know.
$500 a week was
It
remarkable.
was that was remarkable. Now, of course, it's
Oh yeah.
it's
Oh
nothing.
yeah. I mean, most
Yeah.
actors would turn that down quickly. So when you were entering your career, what were the first organizations you joined as a professional?
I think the first SAG, Screen Actors Guild,
Hmm.
Screen Actors Guild. I remember getting my card. Let's see. I did. Ben Casey was the first episode, the first series I did,
Wow.
and yeah,
Ben
I was
Casey.
Ben Casey, and I was just laying in bed. And the talk. I mean, I was a day player actually.
Uh-huh.
I was just in bed in the hospital, and next to the star of the episode was in the next bed. She was, I forget her name, but she was well known at the time.
Mhm.
But I got my card, SAG, yeah.
Wow.
And then when I did The Owl and the Pussycat, I got my equity card.
Your equity card. So
Yeah.
at any time, well, was AFTRA even there at that time? American Federation of Radio and Television Art. It was all just SAG and equity, right?
I think AFTRA was there, but it was only for taped
Mm.
um, shows, you know, like soap operas
Oh yeah.
or talk shows or like that.
Mhm.
Radio
Yes, that's right. That's
also, but it was not connected to SAG like it is now. You know, it
so
was.
was so was there a significant moment in your career that you felt was a turning point where you say, "Wow, I'm moving forward now. This is it. You know, this is what I've been dreaming of."
I would say it was probably because I did quite a bit of television, and the parts just kind of kept kind of growing. But I think the first film I did, uh, it wasn't a very big part, but I was opposite James Caan uh,
Wow.
in Roller Coaster. You
Wow.
know, and yeah, and I mean, it wasn't a huge part; it was a feature thing. But I felt like, oh, I did a movie.
Yeah.
You know, like, hey, it's a movie that, as opposed to television. Although I love television, but I think it was probably Roller Coaster, the first film.
Yeah. So you think that was the event in your career that really stood out to you, or was there something else that just really stood out and said, "Boom! I am Gloria Calomee. I am the artist that I want to be. I am here and I am functioning."
Yes, And
Okay.
that was The Reavers with Steve McQueen.
So if you had the opportunity to choose, what role would you play now?
What role would I play now?
Mm-hmm.
Um, some matriarch role, I think. I kind of started moving away from going out a lot when I got older because all the parts had become maids,
Yeah.
and it was all the same thing. Right?
Yeah.
But at today, I would like to do actually. I would rather do theater and some of the wonderful
Yeah.
plays by some of our great playwrights like Richard Wesley and those folks. Um, I think that's what I would look forward to doing as opposed to.
Well, I would love to do some of them with you.
I would love for that to happen.
I mean,
Let's
actually,
work. Let's work on it.
let's work on that because we actually did work with the great Lynn Hamilton and her husband in the play Nobody on on the story of the life of Bert Williams on tour, didn't we?
Did we?
Didn't we work
No.
on no? Didn't we work together in Nobody?
Yes, we worked together. Nobody.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, that was Lynn Hamilton and
Oh, Lynn
yeah,
Hamilton. My God. Yes, I was thinking of another Lynn.
yeah,
Oh, yes, yes, of course.
yeah,
That her husband, the wonderful Frank Jenkins.
yes. That was
Yes,
a great
yes.
play. That's something I think should be revived. I think
Oh,
our young people
absolutely.
in the arts need to know the history of what the minstrels were because the stories they tell about the minstrels now is just totally inadequate as far as the
Of
history of
course.
what it's about. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I would look forward to seeing that. I look forward to working on that again with you.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm
wait, well,
serious.
maybe we can figure out a way to make that happen.
Maybe we can.
I think I still have that script around here. I've got pictures actually, and
You have pictures?
yeah, I've got pictures. I've got a cast picture
Oh,
of us from Nobody. I'll send it to you when I
please
get a moment.
send it to me.
I
Yes,
certainly will
yes,
when I
yes.
get a moment. Maybe you can post it on your legacy site there.
Yes, yes. No, and you mentioned Lynn, and then I thought about um my God. I started thinking about Color Girls,
Yeah.
which was oh God, can't think of her last name. But anyway, that was a another theatrical moment for me because I did 3 productions of Color Girls. The first one, Lynn Whitfield.
Yes.
The first one we did at the downtown at the Mark Taper Forum, and I understudied in that. I understudied Lynn Whitfield.
Wow.
Yeah. And I never went on in that production. But then I did the tour, the national tour out of New York.
Amazing.
Yeah, for 6 months, 6 long, cold months across
Yes.
the country.
Yes.
And then at the end of that, came back and did a production at the Doolittle Theater. No, was it the Doolittle or the Huntington? It changed names a couple of times. And and Lynn and I were in it together again.
Mm-hmm.
Lynn and I, yeah. So
So
that
so
was
how, so now that you mentioned that, how did travel and touring affect your career and your feelings about traveling and touring? Did you enjoy it or?
oh, it was fascinating. I love seeing the country, although most of the country I saw was the Midwest and the East Coast, and I'd say about 3, 4 months of that 8 months touring was in cold, very cold weather.
Yeah, usually Black
And
History Month.
yeah, I mean, it was exactly. And in fact, there were 2 of us in the production on tour from California. No, there were 3 of us from California, and the other ladies were out of the New York production, so they were New Yorkers,
Hmm.
and we couldn't handle it. We had to, and so they nicknamed us the California Babies because we had to stay close to the hotel. I mean, close to the theater. We had hotels close to the theater, so we could just run across the street, or in one instance, taxi across the street.
Yeah.
I mean, and we just were freezing all the time, but it was a wonderful experience going across the country, playing in different uh, states and different theaters.
Would you tour
Uh,
now?
no, Not that kind of tour. No,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
but bus and truck. Yeah, I know what you mean.
no, no,
So did you
no.
have when you started out, did you have concerns about or plans about your financial future? You know, I mean, when we start out young, we just want to do it. But as we get older in the industry, we start thinking about, well, you know, I'm not putting away a lot of money for retirement, things of that nature. Did you have those concerns as well?
No.
No.
Unfortunately.
Good for you.
Unfortunately, I think my attempt at that was when I started getting involved with the Inner City Cultural Center.
Hmm.
As an arts administrator, I figured, well, that's solid work.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Yeah, sure.
so we thought.
So we thought, well, it was to me. I mean, it was a job, and it was a job I loved, but still, it was working for a nonprofit organization. So it wasn't quite mainstream employment.
Yes.
But no, I must say that I never been very good with being a capitalist, as it were.
Oh,
Still not.
so yeah, so in mentioning that, you know, because now that we are, I guess we could say we're elderly, uh, are adequate,
Older,
yeah, older,
older,
we're older, yeah.
older.
Are adequate resources an issue now as an older actor, you know, with enough work coming in or being able to survive with your pension from the unions or whatever the case may be?
Well, my pensions and connected with Social Security are okay.
Hmm.
It's okay. Um, I still work occasionally as a singer, which is not a lot of money.
Yeah.
So it's okay. It's all right. But I wouldn't say that I'm not swimming in dough, like I said. I was never good at. Um, I was never very good at looking ahead.
Hmm. Hmm.
I mean, I mean, let's be honest. I lived like a hippie a lot
Yeah.
in my younger days,
Yeah.
and so that non-planning and non-looking ahead has resulted in, like I say, I mean, I don't live wealthily,
Yes. Well,
but I'm
I think
comfortable.
as African American actors, we all, in a way, were not able to really look ahead, knowing that the next job was going to be there. So that was kind of an obstacle for us all through our careers. For most of us, you know, nobody could ever say that, you know, when I leave this job, I'm going to this job next week or next month. But when I talk to other actors of other races, you know, and I'm on a show, they always know where they're going next week, where they're going next month, in fact, where they're going through the next entire year on tour or
Yeah.
something like that. Where if I talk with the African American actor, well, no, man, I'm waiting for my agent to call me. I've, you know, got this coming up, this coming up, this coming up, where I'm on audition, and we'll see what happens. You know.
Yeah, no, my mother always told me, "Hey, please have something to fall back on," although
Yeah.
she was very supportive of my acting. And I said, okay. And then I would just not
Not
pay
listen.
any attention.
Back to the auditions. I know. Yeah.
Exactly.
So younger performers would want to know, who did you study with? You know, can you talk about your teachers and, you know, both the formal and informal ones? You know, because sometimes we have people who teach us that are not formal teachers. You know, teach us on the set sometimes.
Yes. Well, like I said, I studied in the LA City College Drama Theater Arts Department. So I started that kind of academia study of theater. Um, this is the formal studying.
Hmm.
I also was in the Richard Boone Actors Workshop.
Wow, Richard Boone.
Richard Boone, yes. What
Have
was it?
done will travel.
Have Gun Will Travel, exactly. But he had an actors workshop and it was televised. The plays and skits and things that came out of that workshop were televised also. And then I studied with Frank Silvera for a while, his Frank Silvera workshop, Theater of Being, and he was very talk about a mentor. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, I've heard.
And then with the great Bea Richards when she carried on
Oh
that
yes.
theater of being workshop, theater of being. And Also,
now her theater was the Theater of Being, was it? Was it?
yes, theater being.
And she did one at Inner City Cultural Center as well, right?
Yes, she did. Uh, I did a play, how I got involved with Inner City, way after Fly Blackbird, which C. Bernard Jackson had written. He was the director at the Inner City Cultural Center. And I was called to audition for a play that Bea Richard had written called, oh my God, Ding.
That's all right. That's part of the process.
One is a crowd. One is
Yeah.
a crowd. And so I worked with her, and that was my informal training, was working with her in that play. One is a crowd, which also had Thelma Rasulala in it, and Glenn Turman. And so I was working with her in her workshop and working with her on stage. And then we became friends. And then she was my mentor until practically she left us.
Yeah, she was very, very, very supportive of me when I was at Inner City.
Yes.
So when you did your roles, so in Colored Girls and some of the other projects that you participated in, did you use coaches or did you develop your characters on your own?
No, we didn't use coaches. I would say the director, Al Scott, who directed all three of those productions that I was in, was a wonderful one, still is a good director. Intozaki Shangi, who wrote for Color Girls, her characters were really clear.
Yeah.
They were clear as glass.
You just fall right into them.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. I mean, there was no, who is this person? I knew them all. We knew them all, you know. So no, there was we didn't have coaches, but formally, except for our director, Scott. And then there were the other ladies around, like our choreographer, lighting people, and those kinds of folks who had done the show production, the Broadway show production, and were very helpful.
Fantastic.
So,
so how do you feel about working in different media now? Television, film, singing. What are your favorites?
Theater and singing are my favorite.
Great.
Now, I love singing. I love doing cabaret, and I think that's because I'm in control. I am in control of what I say, how I say it. uh, of course, I have support, musicians and all. But I think I like that best because I like choosing what I want to talk about, whether it's about love, whether it's about the world, the guy next door, whatever. I want to say that. I want I don't necessarily I'm not necessarily interested in saying someone else's words.
Do you have a criteria for success? I mean, have your criteria changed with time?
No, for success, I mean, I just enjoy the work I do. I never quite put it, think of it about being successful. I mean, it's successful in that I do the best I can and hope that it is, that people receive it well, and that I get the message across, whatever it is. I know that when I sing, like I say, as long as people understand what I'm saying and singing about, and it's received well, then that's success for me. It's not about how much money I make or or what a critic may say necessarily.
Is there any special preparation that you do with singing as compared to acting?
No, not really. Well, of course, in singing, you have to have some sort of vocal training. uh, acting for me, acting, like I said, I'm a student of the theater of being,
Yeah.
and so it's that thing where where has she been? Who is she now, and where does she want to go?
That's right.
And those three things, you ingest those uh, about the character, and that's that's kind of my technique for acting. For singing, I'm just sort of being me and telling my story, or I'm telling or somebody else's story, but
Yeah.
something that I want to say.
Yeah.
So I'm not really ingesting a character. So that's the difference, I think.
Are there
But
any are there any institutions that looked out for you throughout your career or supported you that you have been able to fall back on and say, yes, they were there when I needed them?
no, sure, Inner City Cultural Center.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
In every area. I mean, because I have been an actor there. I have, been in plays there. I've produced events and uh, theater there
yeah.
at Inner City. I have directed a play there, and I also had written for the magazine, New World Magazine, that was a publication at Inner
Yes,
City Culture.
yes.
Culture.
That's something that we need now. I mean, with I think they have the magazine Black Mask. I've seen it every once in a while. It comes across online. But New World
No,
was a great
uh,
magazine, and it was very
yes.
sorely needed at that time.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It was a magazine of the arts, multicultural arts, and it was wonderful. And Fred Beaufort, who was the editor of the magazine, was a tremendous journalism uh, stalwart. I mean, he was just amazing what
Yeah,
he did with that magazine. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But
So,
I've got a general question for you.
hmm.
Performing arts and the entertainment scene. You know, how does it compare now with how when you started out?
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm going to say it.
Yeah, you have to.
Uh, I'm a little disappointed in that uh, some celebrities are doing roles, lead roles, television, movies, who are not really actors.
Yeah,
They've not done the training, they haven't done the work. I'm not saying they can't perform or act in theater, wherever, but for them to get the main roles, the lead roles, the starring roles, and I see other actors, especially female actors who put in the work, training all their lives, and are reduced to sidekicks
yeah,
or
yeah.
featured roles in the same thing. That's different. I mean, it's been happening gradually, I think, over the past few years, but now it's huge.
So do you think that's the reason that there's more of a trend toward bringing in actors and actresses from out of the country, who've studied at conservatories and things of that nature in their countries, and they're coming in now and taking a lot of the lead roles in a lot of these motion pictures and television shows that we see now?
I don't know. I know that yeah, I guess if you compare some of those well-trained actors to some of our football players or sports figures
Yeah.
who
Oh,
are
yeah.
working in, yeah,
Yeah.
and I would pick them also. But I also think that it's Hollywood. Hollywood is famous all over the world. Actors come here from all over the world. I don't uh, blame Brit actors for coming to, they've always come to America or to Hollywood
Yeah.
to work. And yes, they are trained. Their training is, there are drama schools here, very fine drama schools here, but not like the Brits have.
Yeah.
Um, It's just true. So I don't blame them. I think they're wonderful actors. And I think maybe, the producers, directors look around and they see the people who are famous on television or in film. And a lot of them are not actors.
Yeah.
They're not.
Yeah.
And but that's who they hire. So it's like a double-edged sword,
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
it kind
so
of says something about the material that they are trying to produce, that maybe they think the material is not good enough to be a draw on its own, that they have to bring in these other people who have their own social media following in order to make their project something viable. And
yeah, I
which is
suppose.
which is sad, because with a little bit more effort, in fact, with a little bit more effort, you can find people out there that have some very good projects sitting on their shelves who people won't even take a look at.
I'm sure. I'm sure. I mean, there's one show in particular. I won't name it, but um, the lead actor is a celebrity, and the relative of that character is a wonderful actress who's been around forever and ever. And it's very difficult to watch the two of
Yeah,
them together.
I know what show
It,
you're talking about. Yes,
it,
it's
it's blatant,
yeah. In fact,
So
it's really saddening.
it is. It is sad. Yeah.
Because you would think that those people in that show would at least give the other actor an opportunity to branch out in
Yes,
in the material that they give them, and they haven't seen that, and consequently I think that they're not going to be around much longer.
I think so too. I think so too. But anyway, that's what I see happening more today
Yeah.
in the industry than when I was really, really
Yeah.
starting out and acting.
It's unfortunate, because the young people that are coming into the industry, they have the money and they have the time to study.
Of course.
You know,
Yes.
and, and
Yes.
and really be good at their craft.
And there's so many techniques and workshops out
Yeah,
there in schools.
yeah.
Yeah, not as many, like I say, as in England or Britain, but they are there.
Well,
They exist.
speaking of England and Britain, I mean, you look at how many of their artists come here and work. How many of our artists are able to go over there and work. I mean, we just can't get hired over there hardly.
Well, they have a very strong union there.
Yeah, they do.
They
Yes,
have a
they do.
very strong union,
Yeah, yes,
you
they do.
know,
Yeah,
and
you agree
that
with that?
also, I mean, you can live there because I know people who do live in England, African Americans who live in Europe, and they work, but they have been there a while.
Yeah,
And I mean, they're not going back and forth,
yeah.
These Brit actors, they can work in England and they can work here. And I think, yeah, I think their unions are so strong that even if we wanted to, but then again, British actors are trained. British
Yes,
actors, and I mean, they can do uh, dialects from all over the country.
yes, they can.
They can do
All over
Southern
the world.
all over the world, but they can do an American Southern. They can do a New York. They can do. Can American actors do that if they go to Britain, to England?
No, I mean, we can't do an English accent.
Exactly. And then the different English accents. There's North London.
Yes,
There's
Albany. Yeah,
so it's about training.
yeah, yeah.
It's about all that. Yeah.
So let me ask you this, at this point, what are the biggest challenges now you see in your career?
Memory,
Hmm.
memories.
Yeah,
No, I mean memory.
yeah,
Like I couldn't think of my girlfriend's name.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, that's a challenge, and I'm working on that.
Yeah, well,
But also, I don't know. I just kind of right now in my life just would like to make a contribution, and whether it's through my performing as a singer or whether it's through writing. Um, I think those are the two avenues that I wish to be more involved in
Yeah, yeah.
today at this point in my life. Yeah.
What?
I wouldn't mind doing some theater again, but again,
Yeah,
like but theater
yeah.
is not like working in television. You got to know your
Got to
lines.
know your lines.
Yeah,
That's for sure.
yeah. So
There are no do-overs.
a little shaky there,
Yeah.
but really vocally, musically, and writing, I think is what I really want to focus on at this time.
What advice would you give someone wanting to be in the performing arts, some young person that wants to be in the performing arts? What advice would you give them?
Study,
Yeah.
study. Know First of all, know who you are, and that is something you definitely want to do. It's not about wanting to become a movie star or what I want to be in a series or whatever. It's about wanting to know the craft.
Yeah.
And I think you just have to study, learn your craft, and that'll make you an actor. Getting out here and just trying to jump into roles because you're cute or good looking or you could play football is not the answer.
No, not good for reruns.
Nope, not at all. Yeah, I would say just study. There are many techniques and many schools out there.
Yeah. Well, look, this has been a marvelous interview. I really enjoyed hearing you talk about your career and all of the great events that you've had in your life and in your career. And
Well, thank you, Dwayne.
is there anything else you want to add before we sign off here?
Just that I'm really enjoying doing this project, and uh, aside from my lack of technological
That's what we're here for.
technology, yeah, but I'm like a Neanderthal as far as that's concerned. But I'm really enjoying this project, and I'm enjoying working with you and all the other uh, folks involved in this, and I look forward to continuing.
Well, thank you, Miss Gloria Calomee.